Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jaster with the Southeast Bigfoot Research Organization, and tonight we're coming at you with a little bit different of a topic and a little bit shorter of a video. Tonight we're talking about Gugwes. Now, for any of those that are unaware of the topic or the cryptid, it's a Bigfoot adjacent cryptid that has a couple of different characteristics that differ from an average Bigfoot. Namely, the face is more baboon-like, it seems to be more aggressive, they seem to be a lot more rare, and some people even believe that they have 4 toes. That's something that is not confirmed so far. Nothing's really confirmed with this cryptid. However, that is something that gets brought up in a lot of circles. However, one of the things that we don't really have a whole lot of, besides that kind of stuff, is audio for a Gugwe. And while I've been searching around doing the Bigfoot research project audio that we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, I've been trouncing around the Deep South, going through all these audio reports, and I've come up across with a couple of them that really stand out from the others. Now, one of them, a lot of people might know because it's a well-known recording from the North American Wood Ape Conservancy called the S.E.B.R.O. But it has one other kind of distant cousin audio clip, and it comes out of Liddieville, Louisiana. So why are we bringing this up? So whenever we're talking about Bigfoot audio, if you've ever looked for it, if you've ever listened to it, there's a lot of sounds that you tend to hear and sound like a ape or sound like something way too big for the woods that you're living in, and there's not much else explanation to it. With these, this is a little bit different than that. These sound like something that come from primates, but we don't normally hear these kind of audio recordings from Bigfoot areas before. So in order to kind of explain more of what I'm talking about here, we're going to go ahead and start listening to some of these audio clips. The first one we're going to listen to is the S.E.B.R.O from N.A.W.A.C. Now this one, we're going to get into it a little bit more, but this one we're more confident that this is a Bigfoot than we are about it being a Gugwe. But let's go ahead and listen to it real quick. Here, let me up the listening. Alright, so the important thing to know when you're looking at the spectrogram here is the sheer wall of sound that starts abruptly and ends almost as abruptly as it starts. Now that is something that you don't normally see from Bigfoot howls. Like when you hear a lot of them roaring and stuff like the siren howls, or even if you look into the St. Louis County audio, the spectrogram doesn't really line up with what you're seeing here. This is like a sound blast almost. The big thing that everybody needs to understand about this clip is that when you look at it with a spectrogram, there are only 2 kind of close matches to it, and that is a gorilla roaring, and they do make a similar sound, just not at that volume. And then you also have cougars, however, though they don't have quite the diaphragm to hit all of the frequencies that you see here from 4,000 all the way down to 800 hertz. Really not all at the same time. So this is something that definitely is warranted the label of strange. Now, this one is the only other video or only other audio that I've come across that is anything like this one that I'm about to show you all. This is the Liddieville, Louisiana recording that was recorded by the Bigfoot Research Organization. Like, what is that? Like, I've never heard anything quite like either of these 2 recordings. Now, why do I think that one is more than likely a Bigfoot and the other one is a lot more suspicious, okay? The one on top, the N.A.W.A.C recording, I'm confident that N.A.W.A.C themselves have a better understanding of what's going on there than I do, honestly. So They're in there all the time. This is one of their top research spots. They are pretty confident that what they're dealing with in this area are Bigfoot. So whenever they hear things like this and they're not getting other types of evidence of Bigfoot adjacent cryptids in the area, then it makes more sense for them to be like, hey, this is a Bigfoot. This isn't a Gugwe. This isn't a dogman. It already doesn't check out as a gorilla or as a cougar. This is weird. So this next one, however, I'm not so sure, because the Liddieville, Louisiana swamp is not terribly far in American miles, I would say, as other places that have similar recordings. So we've got matches to other Bigfoot audio, like the Kentucky Howl and the Sierra Sounds, and then we've also got other matches that we've done on the show ourselves. This is not quite the same thing. If anything, I would say this looks like something making a similar kind of call, but I would not call it the same type of call. And it kind of hits around the same ideal hertz range, except it doesn't quite cover it in the same way. It's a little narrower in the width area. I wouldn't exactly call this a match. Now, Liddieville, Louisiana is close to the Honey Island Swamp. The Honey Island Swamp is something that we're going to cover even more in a bigger episode. However, there is a lot going on there, and even experienced cryptozoologists have gone in there, like M.K. Davis, and has come out with a weird collection of things. Hoaxing. He's came up with evidence that it wouldn't really make sense if it was a hoax. And then the local legends. And there's enough going on in the Honey Island Swamp, and there's enough Bigfoot adjacent activity and even Bigfoot activity going on in that swamp that I'm not entirely sure what to make out of it. And we're going to go into that more. But the big thing is that the Honey Island Swamp Monster, even back to the Harlan Ford encounter, has been known to have a long mane over its head and a long pronounced snout. Now that's two characteristics of a Gugwe and not a Bigfoot. The other thing is that allegedly this thing has 4 toes. That's something that I believe World Bigfoot Radio, Rocky up there, does talk about, is that Gugwe prints tend to have 4 toes. I could be wrong about that, but I think I remember him talking about that. So we've got multiple different things going on here that makes me think that this could be a Gugwe and not a Bigfoot. And the fact that we've got a Bigfoot-like call going on in an area that is easily accessible from that swamp makes me wonder, is this a Gugwe and not a Bigfoot? Because this would be something pretty nice if we ended up being able to say, hey, we've never really seen Bigfoot calls quite like this. And I don't think I have. I could be wrong. I'm not the most experienced in the audio specialization field of Bigfoot, but I've never come across anything like this. So if anybody has came up across anything like this, please send it our way. I'd like to come out. I'll even go out and talk on somebody else's show about it. I would love to get humbled and educated about the kind of things that we see in the Bigfoot world as far as spectrogram recordings, because this definitely looks weird to me. I'm willing to bet that whatever made this sound right here isn't the same creature that made this sound right here. And with that, I think I'm going to leave you guys to think on it. So, if you guys like the video and you like this new type of content, just give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us how you feel. My name's Jaster with the Southeast Bigfoot Research Organization, and you all have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.